Section 2.4, Linear Functions. We're going to focus on average rate of change and linear models in this video. In 1980, the average monthly rate for basic cable TV in the United States was $7.69. In 2008, the average monthly rate was $46.13. Assume a linear relationship and find the average rate of change in the monthly rate per year. Graph a line, segment, and interpret the results. So really here we're just looking for slope. We're going to interpret the slope. How has the cost of cable gone up as time has gone on? In order to find slope, we just need 2 points so that we can do our y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 slope formula. So my 2 points here are just going to be the point 1980, 769, because the year was 1980, the cost was $7.69. And then my other point is going to be 2008, 46.13. So the year, the cost of cable. So now we're just going to do slope formula. So pause your video and find the slope between these 2 points. The average rate of change you found, or the slope, should be 1.37. And when we graph the line between those 2 points, you see we have a steady positive increase, which makes sense. The cost of cable has gone up over the years, not down. So to interpret the meaning of the 1.37, we can say that the cable costs have gone up about $1.37 each year. Next, we're going to look at problems that have to do with cost, revenue, and profit. So these are some formulas you're going to want to write down. First of all, a linear cost function, C of x equals mx plus b, where x represents the number of items produced, and m represents the variable cost per item, and b represents the fixed cost. The revenue function for selling a product depends on the price per item and the number of items sold. So that function is going to be r of x, so the revenue is p, price of your item, times x, the number of items sold. And then we have our profit function. This is found by just subtracting the cost from the revenue. So your profit function is just your revenue function minus your cost function. These are important functions to have written in your notes. In this problem, we are going to write out the cost, revenue, and profit functions. So assume that the cost to produce an item is a linear function and all items produced are sold. The fixed cost is $1,500. The variable cost is $100. And the item sells for $125. Write a linear function to model cost. So first thing I'm going to do is write down my cost function, mx plus b. M stands for the variable cost, b stands for the fixed cost. So if I just plug those two numbers in, we get a function c of x equals 100x plus 1,500. Next, we're going to write a function for the revenue. Revenue is p times x, so price of your item that you sell it for, times x. So we get r of x equals 125x. And then last, we're going to just subtract those two functions that we found to get our profit function. Now notice here we have a subtraction symbol going on, so we're going to need to put our cost function in parentheses. I've put those in red so we can kind of see them. You're going to need to distribute the negative and then combine like terms. Okay, now that we've found these three functions, let's stop and talk about what they each mean really quick. The linear cost function, so we got that to be 100x plus 1500. This is the cost that it takes to produce X items. So if you want to say how much does it cost to produce 10 items, you would just plug 10 in for X, and that's going to tell you how much money you need in order to produce those 10 items. The revenue function is going to tell you how much money you make after you sell X items. So maybe you sell 20 items. To know how much money you're going to get from those sales, you just plug 20 in for X. So 125 times 20. In the end, as a business person, you have to take your revenue minus your cost to see what your profit is. So your profit function is how much money you're taking home at the end of the day. Once you've paid off the cost to make the items, with the money that you got, the revenue that you got from selling the items, you're left with your profit. So now we're going to look at the question, how many items must be sold for the company to make a profit? So if you're going to go into business, maybe start a business, you're going to make items and sell them, you definitely want to know how many you need to sell in order to make a profit. Not a good business plan to go in and lose money. You want to make money. So what we're looking for is our profit to be greater than 0, right? If I want to make money, if I want to make a profit, then my profit function needs to be greater than 0. I'm not going to put or equal to because it specifically says I want to make a profit. I don't want to just break even. So put our profit function greater than 0, and now we're just going to solve this for X. Add your 1500 over, and then divide by 25. We get X is greater than 60. So what that means is you must sell at least 60 items, so 60 or more, in order to make a profit. Just a quick note here. If we had gotten a decimal here instead of a whole number, so maybe if we had worked this out and it would have been 60.1, then make sure that you round up, because if you sell 60 items, you're not going to make a profit. That's going down. So even though it's just 0.1, we're still going to round up to 61 items to make sure that we are making a profit.